Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. This is Debbie Levitt from dcx, and welcome to another Take Action Tuesday. Today is episode 265, so if you want to find it later on our YouTube archive, you can go to dcx.to. It should be there. And today we're going to talk about democratization. We've heard so much for so many years about how CX or UX needs to democratize, and you don't want to be in a silo, and you don't want to be an elitist gatekeeper, and come on, share your work with others, man. And I realized, I've been saying for years that this is gaslighting, and there's something very bullshitty about it. But my question to myself a couple of weeks ago when I wrote the article we're going to talk about today was, if UX was supposed to be democratized, what was it before? And if we democratized it, is it now a democracy? And how could we tell? So it is, I can't reach it, critical thinking time. And as always, this is audience participation. So I hope that as I'm reading the article and talking about the topic, that you will ask your questions, that you will give me your comments. You might agree or disagree or be neutral. So all of these are welcome. We're here for a discussion. Just a reminder to join our free Discord community, which is at almost 500 people. So it is growing and quite active, and it's completely free. dcx.to/discord for both you low ego action heroes and you phoenixes. Also, we have some really cool events coming up. I want to make sure people know about our conference in late May, totally online, designed to be affordable and designed to be everything you've been saying UX conferences are not. And I also have a Maven course coming up for only $49. So all of these can be found if you go to our events page. If you go to dcx.to, you'll find links to everything, like the events page and the communities. You'll find the conference in late May, and you'll find the Maven course in the second week of June. So both of these have registrations open. They've both been designed to be really affordable, and I hope you'll check them out. Hello, Pumpa Latte. Let's talk about democratizing. So for that, I'm going to share my screen and open up my recent Medium article on this topic, and I'm going to read it and welcome your comments. Yeah, it is a steamy topic. Democratization has been something that's been going around for years. Hi, Ana Lucia. And of course, the question is, has it been good for us? What is it? So let's go there, and I want to hear your thoughts. And again, even if you disagree with me, that's also cool. So you can find this article on Medium in our rbeford.com publication, Research Before Design, and it is called, Is UX a Democracy, Holacracy, Authoritarian Rule, or Something Else? And it's from March 2025, not quite a month ago. Here we go. For years, people inside and outside of UX have told UXers that they need to democratize. Over time, this had two very different meanings. One, it originally meant making sure you weren't in a silo, sharing insights and suggestions. This is where we began to see repositories emerge. We were reminded to make our research data more available, democratizing information, and we did. Designers were encouraged to have more meetings with engineers so that developers wouldn't be surprised later by the designs. It was about democratizing knowledge and not democratizing a job or work tasks. 2. That was great, but then the definition was changed by who knows who. Suddenly, democratizing UX didn't mean breaking out of a silo and making sure that others have the data and knowledge that you have. It suddenly meant something more along the lines of everybody should do your job. Share your job. Let others do your tasks. Teach them your tasks. Do more by workshop and committee. And we in UX were gaslit if we disagreed that others should do our job. After all, we didn't see product managers, engineers, marketers, or others sharing their jobs, teaching their work to people outside their departments, etc. Hello, LinkedIn user. Who are you? You're showing up on the screen as LinkedIn user, but hello. In fact, I would say that other roles were becoming stronger gatekeepers in the hopes of not being laid off, being the last tech worker with a job, which is a link to another article I have on that topic. We in UX were gaslit by so many things, including, are you against democracy? Of course not, right? So you thought you had to say yes to everything. So let's start with, what's a democracy? It's a form of government. Democracy is a word commonly associated with things being shared by everybody. But is that accurate? In a democracy, citizens vote to select representatives. We could say that the UX professionals we hired are these selected representatives. Selected representatives make decisions on behalf of everyone. The UX pro makes UX decisions. Sounds obvious, right? But it's also democratic. Power flows through elected officials who govern based on majority will. UX pros will do the research, design, and other work based on the priorities, needs, goals, tasks, etc. of most coworkers and most target users. UXers govern by working to serve the majority of, or all, most or all, customers, users, and teammates. The people's direct involvement is primarily through periodic elections. If you don't do your job well, you don't get re-elected, also known as you're fired. I'd say that for decades, UX has been a democracy. We were hired to represent UX and the will of the people, our target customers, users, partners, and everybody in the experience ecosystem. We, the selected reps of UX, made decisions in our own domain. Those decisions were respected because we were the selected hired representatives, the UX pros, generalists, and specialists. We needed to strike a balance between what was best for the experience ecosystem and the business needs and goals. We had some power in our own domain. Many of us were treated as experts. Many of us were treated as hard to replace. We were already a democracy, but we were told we were terrible and elitist dictators and we needed to give up power. Then, what is UX now, after giving up our power? We couldn't have democratized what was already a democracy. There's something else going on here, masquerading as democratizing. Let's compare democracy to another form of government, a holacracy, also known as a consensus-based government. In a holacracy, or where you have consensus governance, decision-making authority is distributed throughout the group. Everybody could make a UX decision. It wouldn't matter if they had ever done UX work, knew any best practices, understood the possible outcomes of their decisions, etc. All decisions would be by committee. Power is shared rather than concentrated in elected officials. No one person has most or all of the power. Everybody has equal power. Maybe a trio or triad or quad, a group of varied people who share power and make decisions together. The process emphasizes participation and often seeks consensus rather than majority rule. It's not about one key person holding power and making decisions. It's about collaboration and consensus, or in corporate terms, alignment. This seems to be what Agile claims to want. Share more of the power. Make sure that each domain is represented, involved in decisions, prioritizing together, etc. We hear that we need a trio of product, UX, and engineering collaborating and making decisions together. We want people to reach a consensus and align. We hold alignment meetings to try to get everybody to agree or at least move forward in a direction most people believe in. You also hear these types of things from some product management books. Share the power, more alignment, product trio, insert buzzword here. So, is democratized UX really holacratized UX? Holacratized isn't really a word, but you get what I mean. Look at what happened to UX professionals, teams, and practices when we choose, or were forced to, democratize. Did we become a happy holacracy, sharing power and decision-making with our counterparts in product, engineering, and other departments? Or are we siloed or disempowered? Are we a trio in name only? Did we align and agree more easily and often because we all had deep and accurate information about business goals and user needs? Or are we lacking this information or ignoring it? Are we disagreeing because some people work from evidence and some people work from opinions, guesses, and assumptions? Are we out of alignment because some teammates prioritize quality while others focus more on deadlines? Did we create better outputs and outcomes thanks to sharing this power? Are we successful more often? Less risk, fewer failures, and happier customers? Is that product trio in place, giving 3 domains equal decision-making and other power? Or has power unfortunately shifted to another single role? Did we end up in a holacracy? Are we all holding hands, coming to a consensus, and sharing power equally? Is UX truly empowered in implementations of trios, triads, quads, and other power groups? Rarely. So they didn't want our original democracy, and it's not a holacracy. Where have we ended up? Is democratized UX really authoritarian UX? Let's define authoritarianism, imagining that UX were the authoritarian leader. Power concentrated in a single authority figure. UX makes all UX decisions unilaterally, regardless of what teammates or users really need or prefer. Decisions will be based on whatever we in UX want or feel like. Limited or no input from others is considered. UX pros are decision makers and implement their ideas in a world where nobody is involved or can question it. Decisions are by decree. UX pros disregard anything anybody else wants, needs, or expresses. Who cares about company profits or metrics? UX has decided we're doing this and everyone must fall into line. Fear of challenging decisions. Team members may be reluctant to voice concerns about UX direction due to potential negative consequences from authoritarian UXers. The ruler makes decisions with limited or no accountability. UX does and decides whatever it wants, never being held responsible for failures or problems. It doesn't matter if you were wrong or made a bad decision. You're untouchable. Citizens have little to no role in governance or decision making. UX doesn't care about what anybody else thinks, wants, or needs. We're doing what UX wants, and you're along for the ride, whether you like it or not. We've been gaslit to believe that this is how we've been working all along. We've been a democracy, but we were being treated like we were evil authoritarians who needed to give all of our power away. Elitists, gatekeepers, you love silos, let us in. We shut off our critical thinking. We're nice people. We said yes to giving our power away. We're definitely not the authoritarian leader, and in nearly every case, we never were, even while painted as such. That was a manipulation tactic that too many fell for and continue to fall for. Is democratized UX really authoritarian UX, where UX is not the authoritarian leader? When UX is asked to democratize, power typically shifts away from us in UX, moving to product managers or product owners. They wanted to control and own more of the UX process. They wanted to do UX work too, even when they were unqualified and or really bad at our work. So let's imagine what it would look like if UX teams and work were under authoritarian rule, but someone else, say a product manager, is the authoritarian leader. Power concentrated in a single authority figure. The product manager makes all UX decisions unilaterally, regardless of expertise, experience, or what the data says about target audience's needs or preferences. Limited or no input from others is considered. UX professionals aren't decision makers. They're there to execute on the product manager's vision, ideas, or project plan. UX is expected to implement without questioning. Don't you dare think critically or question what's going on. Strategy is for product managers, not UXers. Stay in your lane. Decisions are justified by business needs or executive mandate rather than user evidence. User research is avoided because we don't want to invest that time or money. The research we do is manipulated or cherry-picked. Sometimes it's ignored if it contradicts the PM's or exec's vision. Design by decree. Changes and priorities are determined based on the product manager's preferences, opinions, or assumptions. Cycles of guesses are welcome, even if they lead to repeated failures, as long as we're all aligned under what the product manager wants us to do. The product manager has the idea and solution. Product designers are really just products designers, basically assistants to the product manager. Fear of challenging decisions. Team members may be reluctant to voice concerns about UX direction due to potential negative consequences from product managers. The ruler makes decisions with limited or no accountability. Product managers do and decide whatever they want, never being held responsible for failures or problems. It doesn't matter if you were wrong or made a bad decision, you're untouchable. Citizens have little to no role in governance or decision-making. Product managers don't care what anybody else thinks, wants, or needs. We're doing what product managers want, and you're along for the ride, whether you like it or not. So, now what? The end result isn't a democracy. UX hasn't been democratized, even where people claimed to really want that. They evidently didn't understand that we were already democratic-style workers and leaders, trying to operate from a place of fairness and sharing. UX gave UX's power to people who wholly took it for themselves. If UX pros can't decide their own priorities, schedule their time, choose the best method for what we need to learn, or are told, just run a survey, or just find the data to validate or greenlight this idea, it's not a democracy, not a holacracy, it's autocracy. If UX pros want to be problem solvers but are told that's not their job, it's not a democracy, not a holacracy, it's autocracy. If UX pros want to be problem solvers, but we replace deep problem finding and problem solving work with guesses, assumptions, and workshops, especially UX related workshops not run by UX pros, it's not a democracy, not a holacracy, it's autocracy. Shift the conversation back to quality and outcomes. Bring back accountability. Authoritarian structures thrive when there is no responsibility or accountability. We don't really care about the quality or the outcomes. We only care about feeding the authoritarian and their vision. Once we are truly holding people accountable, and they can be in real trouble for bad decisions, failures, and ugly risks, then we're shifting away from authoritarianism. The people have a say. The power rebalances. Product managers might not willingly give our power back to us. They watched us give it away so easily, and they're happy to have it. We'll have to work with leaders to put accountability back in place and focus on quality. What are our standards for quality? Raise those, and suddenly it won't be okay to burn company time or money on cycles of guesses and failures. Our team and company, I'm going to go to LinkedIn and see who said hi, because I missed it. Let's see. Oh, Prajot. Our team and company are unlikely to be successful unless we put our experience ecosystem at the center. Achieve business goals through customer centricities. Product managers can do this too. They can shift back to the product trio all of their books and training suggested. They can share the power. We must hold them accountable to fulfill that promise. Start with my video about how to shift from cycles of failure to quality and value. After that, you'll want my content around product market fit, but I'm still writing it. Make sure you're subscribed here and be part of our Discord community to know when that's available in fall 2025. And that is the article. Hi, Ahmed. So let's take a look at some of our comments. Ana Lucia said, I'm completely in favor of democracy, but in a democracy, you respect the decision makers you elect as long as they aren't being complete pricks. I'm sure you understand what I mean. What they mean by democracy is you need to let go of any authority you may have. Ana Lucia then said, making decisions together? Yeah, right. Who makes decisions nowadays? Executives. Not specialists, not experts, nothing. Executives. And Ana Lucia also wrote, unfortunately, I don't think executives will be willing to change things. They want the power. They want to be right. They aren't willing to have a democracy. Ana Lucia wrote, funny thing, I misclicked and wrote democracy. I'm using this. Well, except it's slightly ableist. Amy, hello Amy, said, it's a lesson in politics every day, in my country and now in my occupation. Sweaty face smiley. Yes, when I wrote this, I realized that there was a connection there between what's going on in the political systems of different countries we won't name, but also in UX as well, because I think what happened was we saw one or more, let's say, possibly well-known UX voices on LinkedIn losing their jobs because they democratized themselves out of a job. And it got me thinking, do we really have a democracy? Who holds the power? Who holds the power in UX? And then who should hold the power in UX? UX people would say we should hold some power in UX because we're the UX team. Just like product managers would say we should hold product management power. We're the product managers. And then other people might say, well, it should be shared more. It should be more of that holacracy. And I say we can do the holacracy thing as long as everybody's doing the holacracy thing. I want to be involved in product management decisions. I want to be involved in strategy. I want to be involved in roadmaps. If you're not going to include me in that, if you're not going to make your domain a holacracy, don't expect me to make my domain a holacracy. Yeah, democracy. Crazy. So yeah, those are some of the things that I am thinking about. Love to get more input, questions, disagreements from the audience. Meanwhile, I'll remind everybody that tomorrow at the same time is the Ask Me Anything stream. You are welcome to ask your questions. And of course, you can ask your questions ahead of time. I should point over here at dcx.to. There is a link where you can ask your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I got one today and I save it and you will be among the first to get your answers tomorrow. So that's free. Send in your questions, join us for the live stream, or watch it later on YouTube or Twitch. What else? Yes, we've got a Take Action Tuesday planned for next Tuesday. And in fact, many Tuesdays from now into late May or early June, I think. Next Tuesday, I will be reading my article on the CATE framework. The CATE framework is something I invented for how I review people's work and assess them and try to help them, coach them, mentor them, train them, raise them up, upskill, up level, whatever word you want to put on it. It's a framework you can use to assess other people's work and help them get better. Ahmed says, thank you, Debbie, for opening up this important topic. As someone who leads UX training in community groups, I often face the challenge of balancing open collaboration with the need for clear leadership and direction. In your experience, how can we maintain a healthy balance between democratizing UX, empowering voices, and avoiding chaos or diluted quality in the design process, especially when working with cross-functional teams that may undervalue UX? Ooh, great one. This one's so great. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Give me 1 second to paste it into my little question box. And bring that font down a little bit. Oops. No, let's put it up and then I'll bring the font down so I can start talking while adjusting fonts. So thank you again, Ahmed, for a great question. So first of all, what I try to remind people when we talk about these things is that I learned UX and I worked in UX before we heard about design thinking, before we heard about design sprints, and before we heard that we should run a lot of workshops, or everything should be group exercises, or we should do a lot of open collaboration, have everybody involved in the solution. For decades before those things came about in the early 2010s or mid 2010s, we were all used to doing our work ourselves. So I must say that the techniques that you might be used to and that you're talking about, to me, still seem very strange, because they already seem designed to take away our power and specialty. Because I don't need to do my work by committee, by workshop, by group exercise, by open co-creation. And some people will say, well, then Debbie's just an elitist sitting in her silo. No, that is gaslighting, and that is a negative frame on a specialist doing specialized work. When a product manager does their own work, nobody says, oh, look at that elitist product manager working on that roadmap and not involving any of us. They're an elitist in a silo. Nobody says that. Everybody says, hooray, the product manager's getting their work done. So, how do you find the balance? Some of that balance has to do with, where are you giving up your power? It's going to start with self-awareness for each individual person. I'm not giving up my power because I'm not treating UX as a group exercise or a team workshop or an open co-creation or open collaboration. Even when I want to get other people's perspectives on possible solutions, I only do that after we have really good research and we're working from good research data, and not assumptions or guesses or bad guessed at journey maps and stuff. So I'm only going to work from really good interview and observational research data. And I'm going to make sure that people understand that I just want a general idea. I don't want you to draw screens. I don't want you to do anything but tell me what's your idea. Because the idea and its exact execution, mechanism, screens, processes, flows, they're totally separate things. I just want to get people's ideas. And then let me figure out the best idea based on the knowledge we have and the business goals, and figure out what that solution and design could be. Maybe I come up with one thing, maybe I come up with 2 or 3 things, and I can decide where to go to there. But I also don't hold a vote on it, because the answer is from the users. If I have more than one idea, I will prototype them and I will usability test them. I usually make actual prototypes so that they're realistic. I will usability test them with real users. I will find where each of them has strengths and weaknesses, and then I will make a better design. I do not go to other people and say, here's my 3 ideas, vote on your favorite. You're not the user. I don't want you to vote. That's not how we do things. The product manager doesn't make 2 different roadmaps and ask everybody to vote on their favorite. So I would say the core of your question comes down to, are we giving away our own power? And that's going to take some tough self-awareness and introspection. If I am doing exercises or workshops, am I making it seem like everybody can do my job or everybody can do UX? Or have I preserved the specialties that UX tasks and jobs are? So when we say we want open collaboration, you need to define that. Because is the product manager openly collaborating? The marketer? The BA? The engineers? No, they're not. They're selectively collaborating. They decide when they're going to work with others, or the trio or the quad or whatever, and they decide when they're going to do their work themselves, and they don't want to hear from you. They don't want your opinion on it. They don't care what you think about it. Why aren't we doing the same thing? Who said that our work has to be completely open or done by everybody? This is part of that gaslighting that we've fallen for. And Ahmed, you're welcome to disagree or ask a challenging question, but the healthy balance starts with you. Can you create the healthy balance where the value of UX is preserved by not making it look like it's something everybody can do with some sticky notes, or it's something everybody can do with this cool canvas we're all going to fill out, or it's something we're all going to do with some how might we's, because how might we's are solution-based statements that are bizarrely focused on we. Where's the user? Where's the experience ecosystem? So I would say we are diluting quality in the design process, as Ahmed mentions over here, when we give up that power and when we dilute it. We dilute it, or we allow others to dilute it. If a product manager says, I'm going to run a design sprint, it's diluted. You've lost control. Anything that is UX design related should be yours. Diana, I think I got that right. Diana, this is an interesting approach to collaboration. Yes, if you are further interested, my book, Customers Know You Suck, talks more about this. Even my 2019 book talked about this, but people found that too long to read. So let me boil it down for you. We can collaborate with people at selected moments. Let me give you an example using research. I'll do research and then I'll do design, since you might have questions. So with research, I collaborate at 3 points. I collaborate when I'm planning the research, because I want to know what everybody wishes they knew. I want to know what everybody in the cross-functional team and the stakeholders wishes they knew, so that my research team, or me as the researcher, can get those questions answered. That'll show immediate research value. You had questions. You wished you knew things about users, tasks, technologies, competitors, whatever it is. You wished you knew stuff. I found the answers. So that's a collaboration point. I also collaborate again when I write the research plan. I give people commenting access on that document, but not editing access. And I ask them, is there anything I missed? Is there a question you were hoping I would ask during these research sessions that you believe isn't here? So I'm not asking, what do you think of this? What questions do you want to ask? Do you want to ask questions? No, I have control of the research process, and I'm asking people for their input. This is collaboration. The second point, because the first was all of that planning, the second point is during the sessions. We collaborate by, you can observe them. I don't want anybody to ask the questions other than a qualified researcher. I don't want the product manager or engineer or marketer or executive asking questions. I want qualified researchers asking questions, whether they're CX or UX, or sometimes they have a marketing title. I'm not going to get hung up on your title. I just want you to be a qualified researcher who knows how to run a great neutral session. So, but you can observe. We're collaborating. You're part of the session. You are there live. You are getting firsthand information live, or you can watch the video later. It's still firsthand information. You saw it recorded. And if you want to send me a message behind the scenes because you have a question or something you want me to clarify, send me a message behind the scenes during a research interview. But you are not turning on your camera, you are not turning on your microphone, and you are not typing in the chat where the participant can see it. But you are still a collaborator. You are involved. It's not an invisible black box that you can't see. You can be there, or you can watch it later. I find they often don't want to come. They don't have time. Magically, they have time to do our jobs. All of a sudden, they don't have time to be part of the interesting parts. Fine. The third point of collaboration for research would be in the analysis, if they watched any of the interviews or sessions. If they haven't watched the interviews or sessions, I don't think they have anything to contribute to analysis or synthesis. If they did watch or were there live for any of the sessions, then they might say, oh, I took some notes. I want to make sure that my notes and some of the things that I saw are part of the analysis and synthesis and recording. Great. Add your notes and observations to the pile. Maybe you saw or heard something that I missed. We are collaborating. You are part of the process, but you're not going to do all of the analysis with me. You're not going to do all of the synthesis with me. You're not going to write my report, but I still want your involvement and your input. Ahmed says, the major problem I face is that not everyone understands the depth of UX. You don't have to call it UX. Start calling it something else. total quality, our approach to quality. I don't care if you don't call it UX. You are the quality team. You are the customer intelligence team. You are the risk mitigation team because you're trying to keep people from making mistakes by solving the right problems well. Now for Diana, let's talk about what would that collaboration look like if we're designers. Back when I used to do more design, the way that I would do collaboration was that I would take whatever data we had, whether that came from a product manager or marketing or sales or UX researchers, and I would make my first design. I don't need help with that. I don't need anybody else to give me solutions. I don't need anybody else to give me ideas. And I came up in UX before there was AI. So I had to come up with the solutions and the designs. Now, obviously, for some people, they start now with an AI tool. That's a separate fight for us to have. But I don't need the entire team up my butt working on a design with me or making their own designs or group designing. I don't need that. I also don't need the users trying to do designs. They're not designers and they usually don't understand their problems or solve them well. So I would make the best design that I could. I would then bring it to engineers, collaboration, and say, this is the direction I'm going in right now. Is there anything here you can't build? So notice I'm not asking, what do you think of it? Do you like it? Do you like my work? Are we friends? What do you think the design should look like? I'm not asking them anything that gives away my power as a specialist. Hey, is there anything here that I'm designing that you can't build? Oh yeah, looks like your design imagines that we have an API call that's going to pull this piece of data in and we don't have that API call. Can you do that API call while I do the design? Yes, we have time for that. Go ahead with your design. No, we don't have time for that. Please design something different. Okay, I can do that. So collaboration for me was cycles of reviewing my designs with engineers and sometimes product managers, but not from the perspective of, do you like it? Will you approve it? What should I change about it? Usually it was, can we build this? And did I miss something? Did I miss something from our strategy, our data, our user needs, our whatever it is? Did I miss something? So it's not, do you like it? It's not, how would you do it? It's not, come up with your own idea. The ideas are mine. I'm trying to stay in control of my own process. It's my process. It's my job. So that is an example of how now obviously in my world, I'm doing few to no workshops. So this is what collaboration looks like when I haven't turned my job into a bunch of group exercises, workshops, templates, canvases, and fill in the blanks. Because to me, that's not how UX was done. It's not how UX was done from the decades before design thinking and workshops became really popular about 10 years ago. There was decades, if not more, of UX before 10 years ago. But obviously some people are newer to UX, and so you don't know that. You don't know what came before. You thought you were sold design thinking and design sprints as the magic way. Deanna says, we chatted at Convey UX in Seattle. I'm glad I joined the session. Always good pearls of wisdom from you, given all the tech constraints I face. My approach is, here's my recommendations based on research and best practices. If we can't do because X, Y, here's a not so ideal approach. Yeah, hypothetically, you could go in that direction. You could do a plan A, plan B. But again, if I'm collaborating with engineers along the way, I'm not surprised later by what we can and can't do. If I'm talking to them once or twice a week or every day or whatever it needs to be, then nobody's surprised later, and I can always say, look, this is the compromise I ended up having to design. Here's another design for when we decide that we want to be better or that we have the time to build some of the tech stuff that wasn't ready. This is the better design. Here's the compromise that we're going with. Here's the better design. I'm going to leave it in our documentation, whether that documentation is Confluence or a Jira ticket or something else. Make sure our work is where everybody else can see it. If your work is only in Figma or only in UX tools that could go out of business next week, that nobody wants to log into, that we decide to not license anymore, poof, it's gone. Make sure you are saving alternative copies of these things. Let's roll back to Ana Lucia's question. Thank you for your patience. Ana Lucia says, what do you recommend we do? What's your advice around this theme? How do we prevent this manipulation? And how do we start turning things around, if possible? Yes, so great question. And as I mentioned in the article, step one is the self-awareness around when we have given up our own power and when we continue to give up our own power, when we say yes to things that we should say no to, or when we should say yes but or no but. I say a lot of no but. Everybody says, oh, you should say yes or yes and. It's improv comedy. It's not improv comedy. I am not a full-time improv comedian. Startups and large corporations do not pay me for my improv comedy. This is really important and in some cases high-risk work. It is not improv comedy. You are allowed to say no. You are the specialist or expert. If someone comes to me, like a former client came to me last week and said, yeah, we're not going to work with you anymore. We've decided to, cut some corners and try to launch as soon as we can. I said, I think that might be unwise. I think that we should have a call about that. And then they decided they don't want to talk to me, and that's totally fine. So we have to see when we're giving up our power. That startup is giving up their power by deciding that the first thing they want to do is cut corners. Then from there, what are you doing? So that brings me to the second thing. So first is self-awareness around when we are giving up our own power, either because we think it's a great idea or because it's something we learned, like through lean UX, design thinking, continuous discovery habits. All of these are disempowering. And then the other thing is to shift conversations back to quality. That's why my article recommends watching episode 251 about shifting conversations to quality. If we were talking more, so take Ahmed for example. Ahmed says, people don't understand UX. Okay, but do they understand quality? Do they understand that our customers expect good stuff from us? Our customers complain when they don't get good stuff from us. Oh, quality, we might not agree on what level of quality to deliver to customers, but we all generally understand what quality means. And that's what the core issue is. So if we had better standards for quality and we kept to them, and if we had accountability, that would change a lot. Imagine a product manager doing UX work really badly. They do research terribly, they design terribly, their ideas are bad. I've worked with these people, so have you. Why do they get to do that? Because they're not held accountable. Because they can fail, they can waste time and money, they can produce little or no quality, and nobody cares. I'm old enough to remember when a product manager was in charge of a project that had failures, they were taken off the project. Or their budget was reduced and next time nobody wanted to give them money because they were the people who failed. But because people were failing so much, instead, loud voices, famous people, famous authors decided to make failure seem really cool and to make it seem like something we want. But I've gone to business school, and let me tell you, business school does not tell you fail as much as you can. So we're only fooling ourselves. So I think the fight should be for quality and accountability versus let's talk about UX and you don't understand the depth of UX. But if my job is UX, get out of my job. If your job isn't UX, I don't want you doing my job. It's that simple. If you are an engineer, I don't want you doing UX. If you are a product manager, I don't want you doing UX. If you are a marketer, business analyst, stakeholder, strategist, I don't want you doing UX unless you happen to have a work history in UX and you're freaking good at it. That's where my standards are. I only want someone good at this to do the work. But we got gaslit into thinking, no, UX is for everybody. UX is not for everybody. We've all seen people who are bad at it. It's not for everybody. Deanna says, I feel like what devs say way more than design because they're concerned about team velocity. We don't measure our design world like development teams do. Yes, this has been a problem for a very long time. Devs are measured on velocity and deadlines, and they're rarely measured on quality. If the quality is bad, well, I guess you'll just have to spend another sprint QAing it and fixing it, and oh well. And so, again, that's where we bring back those discussions of quality. I welcome developers to be obsessed with their velocity and care about their deadlines, but first I want to deliver you design quality. Get out of my deadlines, get out of my timelines or time boxing. I need to estimate the time I need to do good, high quality work. When I give it to you developers, you can work in whatever time frame you need to work in. You're not going to tell me what to do, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. Ana Lucia says, I think the whole yes and is also gaslighting. Agree. In a way, they want us to be fearful about losing our job and be yes people. Agree. Deanna says everything is doable and quality, aka good UX, equals more dev work most of the time. Are we committing to it with the time and human power we have? That's always the conversation we have with engineers. Yeah, look, there are always compromises. Even if we can get some good conversations going about quality, there will still be compromises. I don't expect everything to suddenly become 5-star quality every time we release something. No, there will be compromises. Someone will put deadlines first, but then we have to document we put a deadline first. We knew that we were releasing 3-star quality in a world where our customers expect 5 stars, and we released 3 stars because we felt it was more important to get something out than to get something good out and take a little longer. We can learn later if that was a good idea or if there's a small or large failure. And then we can decide if next time we want to do that again, or maybe we want to take a little more time. Ana Lucia says, UX is for everybody in the sense that it makes products and services available for everybody, but using this idea to gaslight UX professionals about what they do is ridiculous. And yet it goes on, not only from outside of UX, but from inside as well. And that's where a lot of this is a serious problem, where we are believing these things. Someone said, you're elitist, you're a gatekeeper, you're in a silo. And we said, oh my God, no. How do I prove to them I'm not elitist? Okay, you can do my work too. How do I prove I'm not in a silo? Okay, you can ask some interview questions. How do I prove I'm not a gatekeeper? Okay, you can do the design too. This is just on the level of elementary school bullying. It really is. You know, if you don't give me your lunch money, I won't be your friend. Oh, well, God, I better give this person my lunch money. I want them to be my friend. No, you don't need that friend. That's a shitty friend. So we got fooled by this because we were nice and people knew we were nice and they knew they could play to our senses of nice and empathy and care and fairness, and we fell for it. But the problem is we've been falling for it for 10 years. Now it's very hard to turn these things around. We're going to have to try harder, and we're going to have conversations that are about quality, because it's going to be too hard for a company to stop doing crappy, meaningless disaster workshops. We're going to have to say, okay, hey, that was a great design thinking workshop. Now let's see how it ended up. Oh, that idea never went to market. I guess that was a low quality idea. What happened there? Ooh, another design thinking idea never went to market. Maybe we shouldn't do as many of these design thinking workshops. They're not working out as well as we thought. They're not producing the quality we need. Or hey, these design thinking ideas did go to market, but oh no, they failed. They weren't what people needed. They didn't solve their problems. Ooh, maybe these workshops aren't producing the right things in the right ways because quality. Not because I'm a UXer and you're not, or you don't understand the depth of UX. Quality, quality, quality. Okay. And Ana Lucia says, I'm all for gatekeeping, design for designers. They're the ones who learned how to do it. They're the experienced ones. I can only do some basic stuff, so I'm not saying, okay, I can do design. I can't. We must remember that every job at our company, wherever we work, is a gatekeeper. Product managers don't hire non-product managers. They put people through interviews and interviews to make sure they are good product managers. Engineers don't hire bad engineers or non-engineers. They go through interviews and code challenges to make sure they're good engineers. When we hire UX and we do it well, we check for people who know how to do UX well. You could say that's gatekeeping, but I would just say that's respecting the specialization. Magically, it's not gatekeeping when a product manager does it. Magically, it's only gatekeeping when UX does it. So, guess what? You're not fooling me. Okay, we have a few more minutes left before our show ends. So as always, thank you to everybody who joined in live or who might be watching later on YouTube or Twitch. If you're on YouTube, give us the thumbs up and leave a comment. That helps us in the algorithm. I'm going to press all the buttons to get ready to end the show. But let's see what people are saying. Amy says, if good ideas come from everyone is the philosophy, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that anyone on the team can decide what goes into production. So many companies don't have a clear delineation between roles. Yeah, and it's getting fuzzier as people think that our work can just be done by someone who has an AI tool pretending to be us. I'm still not easily replaced by a robot. Ahmed said, I think we must keep the UX posture. As you said, Debbie, it's all about quality and who's responsible for the results. Yes, I think those are the conversations to have, as I said in episode 251. Let's talk about quality and accountability. Who will be responsible if we make a bad decision? Who will be responsible if we go in the wrong direction? Who will be responsible if we use bad data to come up with something crappy? Where is that? Ana Lucia says, I know some people who are product managers and didn't have experience or relevant experience, just willingness. Yes, product managers did a similar thing that UX did a long time ago, and they started letting in anybody and everybody, and that's hurting them as well. That happened to UX in the kind of 2016 plus years. And so, unfortunately, UX started letting in everybody, and that's worked against us as well, excuse me. So, I'm not hung up on, is it UX, is it UI, is it service design, is it product something, is it product experience, is it customer experience? I'm not hung up on these things. I just want to talk about quality. Do we care about quality? If our company doesn't care about quality, cool, good to know. Anything goes. Whatever. If we do care about quality, what are our standards? How do we make sure we are upholding those standards? Who is responsible when we don't uphold that standard? Everything is an experience. Yeah, and it always has been. Everything is an experience. Everything on my desk is an experience. Everything, every object, every service, these are all experiences. These glasses are an experience. Buying them was an experience. Receiving them, getting the eye exam that put the correct lenses in. Everything is an experience. And if we care about the quality, then it can go well for the user or customer, and they're more likely to do business with us. If it goes badly, we start thinking about competitors. Ah, yes, Ana Lucia loves my glasses until they reflect my ring light. There you go. There's my ring light. That's why I don't wear them anymore during the shows, just for Ana Lucia. I left a company today, a company I even started recommending to other people, Fathom.video, definitely hashtag not sponsored because I just dumped them. They're a competitor to Fireflies, which I'm now trying, where they're going to record your video calls and do a transcript and do AI notes. The problem is I accidentally found out, and I should have checked this earlier, so me pointing at me on this one, I realized by accident that their transcriptions were 70 to 75% accurate. The transcriptions were bizarrely inaccurate, and in some cases, a few minutes were missing in multiple places. So that's it. I'm done with Fathom.video. And I'm now looking at fireflies.ai, hashtag not sponsored, because their features are similar. And I'm going to see if they are more accurate, if I like the experience. The price is roughly the same, so it's not a matter of price. It's a matter of what's right for me as the user. And ultimately, if Fathom is going to give me inaccurate transcripts because of the AI or tool they've chosen to do transcripts, I don't have to stay. I don't have to put up with that, because that's where my standards are as a user. And that's what I wrote to them today. I said, do you make any promises about your accuracy? Because your competitors' websites say 92% accurate, 95% accurate. What percent accuracy are you promising? I can't find it on your website. And your accuracy is about 70%. And I realize I paid for a year, but if you are giving partial refunds, I'd like to downgrade to a free account so that I can keep the recordings I have so far. And I'm kind of done with you because you've chosen the wrong tool to do the transcription. There are much better tools out there. They chose the one that they chose. Ana Lucia says, yeah, automated transcription services need to do better. I also went through a bad experience with that. Transcribing European Portuguese seems to not be that common in most services. Yeah, I don't know if Fireflies offers it. I'm just testing Fireflies as of today. So we'll see how it goes. It's I think a 1-week free trial. So I have a note in my calendar on Friday to cancel it if I'm not happy with it. That way I don't forget. Always, when you start a free trial, don't forget to make a note to cancel it so you don't forget. So we'll see. All right. Thanks to everybody for some really excellent conversations today that, of course, did go beyond the democratization issue, but they are also tangentially related because a lot of this, the democratization is really about, at its core, giving up our power. And there's a lot in design thinking that tells us to give up our power. Lean UX tells us to give up our power. Design sprints give up our power. Continuous discovery habits completely removes our power. And we have to keep those critical thinking hats on and realize when someone or something is trying to take our power away. And act appropriately. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to jump over to the book club, but I want to make sure people know about the other events coming up. Go to dcx.to, check our event calendar, because we have our 3-day conference in May, which I've designed to be really affordable. And unlike any conference you've ever been to, day 1 is CX, UX, and dealing with bad workplaces. Day 2 is improving your time and energy management. And day 3 is career shifts to freelancing, starting your own business, or even possibly some work outside of tech. Because guess what? Tech is probably not going to carry you to retirement. So that's our conference. And I've got a Maven course starting in June, which is only $49. So I've tried to make it really affordable. And it is a guided exercise kind of coaching adventure with me to read my Life After Tech book and do the exercises and get some personal feedback on them. You do get a digital copy of the book included. You're welcome to buy the audiobook or the paper copy if you'd like, but I'm trying to make everything very, very inexpensive, very fairly priced, knowing that a lot of people don't have spare money, but also knowing that I truly, truly believe that the things I'm offering will help everybody. So let's start the ending the show music. And Ana Lucia says, we really need to fight the idea that UX is just talking to users. It's a narrow view of what UX is, and it's hurting us badly. Yeah, a lot of narrow views have been hurting us for a long time, and we haven't done enough about it. Ahmed says 80% autocracy plus 20% democracy equals 100% holacracy. Not true. Incorrect. False. As soon as you have any autocracy, you don't have a holacracy. And you don't have a democracy. Read world news if you're not sure. Democracy dies in autocracy. So ultimately we want 0% autocracy. That's the goal. Why don't we have 80% democracy and 20% holacracy? Chew on that one. All right, everybody, see you tomorrow for the Ask Me Anything, and I hope to see you signing up for my events. Thanks. Bye.